What's the YouTube? Dale here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you an update post-ban list for Swordsoul, and this one actually involves Denglong. I'll show you a combo at the end of the video as well to show you how you utilize this card in the deck. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, I'm going to dive headfirst into this updated profile, and this is definitely going to be, in my opinion, one of the contenders for the format. So for the Swordsoul lineup, again, nothing really changes on this one in my opinion. So you're still going with triple Moyi alongside triple Ecclesia, triple Long One, and double Tyre. Now, all of this pretty standard. I don't think there's any change you might want to make. I think everything's all utilized. And what you got to keep in mind as well, the best thing about Denglong is it lets you send any worm type from the deck to the grave to then manipulate its level. So just by utilizing the Swordsouls, you can manipulate its level to become a 6 or a 4. Then moving on to the 10 years, keep in mind as well, these can help you manipulate Denglong's level, so you can basically end up with a level 4, 6, 7, 1 kind of tuner, basically. And now the first new change of the deck, we are playing triple Adhara. Now the reason we're playing triple Adhara is that this card is what helps you get into Denglong a lot more consistently. So basically, if you open up any other worm plus Moyi and Adhara, you can special summon down the Adhara, normal summon the Moyi, spawn a token off of the Moyi, and off of the back of that, what that gives you is it also gives you a fallback should your opponent negate your Moyi, because if they do, you still then have a tuner on the board. You then sync into your Denglong. Denglong can then have the ability to adapt its level, and on top of that as well, can also search you out a Yangzing card. So ideally you're going to be going for the Pillars of the Yangzing, but sometimes you can search out the Bian or the Chiwen as well, depending on what you're trying to make. So being able to adapt the level is absolutely crazy. Getting into Denglong, the one bit of text on Denglong that makes it broken beyond belief is if this face-up card leaves the field. Doesn't matter where it goes, doesn't matter how it gets there, as long as it leaves the field, you get to special summon a Yangzing from your deck. Now the reason that's important is that gives you access to a level 1 tuner, or a level 2 should you want to play that one as well. And then it can also give you access to, again, non-tuners in the forms of level 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and even 5s, which is absolutely insane. Vishuddha stays the same at 2, and then 1 Shafana. Shafana is actually a little bit more important as well, as there will be plays where you worm lock yourself early doors. Now obviously if you don't open up Adhara, but you're able to get an Ashuna to the graveyard, that's then going to allow you to banish the Ashuna to summon out the Adhara. That can help you push into the Denglong. Heck, even if you've already got into Denglong, there's still ways of being able to send the Ashuna to the graveyard. And as long as you can try a non-effect monster, which is very easy if you've special summoned any of your 10-years, you're then able to banish and you go full Wormlock to build up your board. It really comes down to how fearful and how mindful you are of Nibiru. Then for the Yangzing cards, I've kept these at the base minimum. Now, you can add more to these. Some people play 2 Chiwen, some people play the Dark level 2 as well. I've gone with a 1 and 1. And the reason I've done this, what makes these so cool, is that off of the Denglong, you can actually send the Chiwen, and then Chiwen will trigger is when a Yangzing monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect. And that's exactly why Pillars is so important, because Pillars allows you to, after you've negated and everything, destroy another Yangzing card you control. So that's how you can then destroy something like a Denglong, and then you have the ability, as long as that is the last thing to happen, that you can go Chiwen, and then of course you can also go Denglong, so you can summon out a Bian and a Chiwen. Now again, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Yangzings, as they are quite old to be honest, they're Duelist Alliance. Jeez, that's back in the day when I got back into the game. What makes these so good, more so the Bian as well, is it gives you the ability to synchro during the battle phase or the main phase. So what makes that so important as well is it also gives the synchro monster that it synchros with the ability to not be destroyed by battle. So what these two do on their own is that will give you the ability during your opponent's main phase or battle phase, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon a synchro monster using only Yangzing monster you control. It's a quick effect, and a synchro monster that uses this card as synchro material cannot be destroyed by battle. Like back in the day, what Yangzings were doing is they were synchroing into Sacred Beasts of Trees. Well, that kind of shows how kind of old that is the fact that you have a level 10 that couldn't be targeted except during the main phase, and you would or main phase 2, and what you would do is you would make it with Bian, you'd make it with the fire one and the water one, so it was unaffected by traps, couldn't be destroyed by battle, and had an additional 500 attack. Plus it's already inbuilt protection. But the idea is that these two then make Herald. Yes, you will banish the Chiwen, but this is all come off of a Omni Negate off of the back of the Pillars of the Yangzing, destroying your Denglong, and then you've got a Baron, not a Baron, sorry, a Herald that can't be destroyed by battles. Your opponent can't just run over it, so they're then going to have to face at least 2 negates, which is really kind of cool. The last kind of like worm that we play is the one Mare. Now this is pretty standard in this build. You can cut it out completely if you want to, but the idea behind this is you make Baron, you make Yazi, you use Yazi to pop Mare. You use Baron to pop Yazi. There we go, get it right. Mare will then obviously be able to summon for itself from the deck, and then that's when you can start spawning tokens, and then that can also help you manipulate levels in order to get to Denglong another way as well. So Denglong can either be the start of the combo or the end of the combo, being able to give you into pillars, and then floatability is just what makes it so good. I'm still playing the free Ringo Worm. Now, a lot of people are actually cutting this from builds. Understandable if you want to go more heavy on the Yangzing. The one thing that this deck does is it is balancing a lot of components, but I am still playing Small World, and the thing about Small World is I still have additional bridges. I have ways to a Chi-Win if I want to. I can use Chi-Win as my bridge if I want to as well, and I just feel the ability of Ringo Worm, if you wanted to, there are ways, and shout out to Kev on this one, but he's looking at playing Sukanoko, because you can make Sukanoko with the Adhara that you're already playing at 3 already, and then the idea is that you can use it with the token, and that gives you Sukanoko plus any level 7 in hand, gives you access to a second level 10 synchro. So it's all coming off of the conversation of trying to get 2 level 10s and an 8 with as minimal cards as possible. So that is an option to look into, but I still feel that Ringo Worm giving you access to stuff like Chaos Angel, giving you access a lot quicker and easier to Baron is very, very important. For the hand traps, they're not set in stone on this one, but I've still got 2 Ash Blossom and the 1 Droll. And the reason I got the 1 Droll in here is just because I can search it. It's just one of the ones where I know Super Heavy Samurai are probably not going to be as prominent in the format, but I still feel Droll is incredibly powerful in the right matchup. And it's kind of one of them ones that if it's no good to me whatsoever, then I cut it completely. And then you can replace it with a 3rd Ash. You can put in Imperms instead if you want to. Like I said, I'm still playing the Small World, so I'm still playing the route to a Kaiju or a Droll. Because it's one of them ones where if I've already got my combo piece or the access to the Ringo Worm, then I've got access to the Droll, which will make sure I can shut my opponent down the next turn. Or if I'm going second, I've got the Kaiju. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to fear Gamma as much, but even if I activate Small World and my opponent burns an Ash Blossom on it, then I'm still in a good position to be able to go, okay, cool. And then 9 out of 10, people are not stopping Small World, so I'm able to get to the Kaiju, and by that point, whether they're on Rise Heart Pass, whether they're on Still Pearly, or anything like that, I'm still able to go, cool, Kaiju, and then continue to make my plays. On the spells, triple emergence, pretty straightforward and simple on that one. I'm still on 2 Small World. Again, I think 2's kind of okay for me. Like, it's worked out just fine. There may be a couple of tournaments where I'll be like, oh, why am I not seeing Small World? I can't do any of my plays. And then it's just annoying. But it's just one of them ones that's more of a win more option. It just increases the consistency to get me to the Ringo Worms. It's more consistency to get me to my Swordsoul starters, everything like that. So I have made another change in the sense I'm now playing 2 Cycle and 1 Cycle. Again, it all comes down to personal preference. This chops and changes a lot, whether you go 2 and 2, 2 and 1, 3 and 1, you name it. I'm trying out 2 and 1 and seeing how it works. Summit and Call by the Grave. Summit's actually pretty cool, more so now as well, because if you hard open this, or even if you go Yugioh to search this, your Denglong can actually Foolish Burial the Swordsoul monster that you want in there. So that can give you another access to Mo Yi, give you access to Tyre, you can bring it back, you make another level 8, and you can push from there. And then the final 2 trap cards is the 1 Blackout and, of course, the 1 9 Pillars of the Yangzing. So for those of you, again, unfamiliar with the Yangzing cards, so when a spell or trap card or a monster effect is activated and you control a Yangzing card, negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle that card into the deck. So it doesn't destroy it, it doesn't banish it, it puts it back in the deck, which can be just as annoying for your opponent to deal with. Then, this is where it's important because there's a full stop, so you do all of that, and then you destroy one other Yangzing card you control. So the last thing to happen is destroying a Yangzing, which is why the Chi-Win can then trigger in the graveyard, even though it is a Wen effect. So that's it for the main deck. It's a 42 card deck. At the moment, I'm still trying to tweak around with the Swordsoul cards alongside the Tenyi cards, Yangzing cards, and everything else. You could ultimately, if you want to, cut the Yangzing cards out completely, but I do quite like the idea of being able to go into an indestructible by battle Herald during my opponent's turn. Another thing that Denglong can do as well, I'll show you in a minute, is an incredibly powerful go second boss monster. Whereas if your opponent thinks they've got the game won and they're like, okay, cool, I've kind of ground everything out, you've got no boss monster coming, your life points are a lot lower than mine, boom, this is what you're going to get. So for the Link monsters, we've got 2 Monk and the 1 Shaman. Again, pretty straightforward and simple on that one. And then, of course, we do have the 1 Herald of the Art Light. The cards I kind of cut to make space around was something like the Chen Ying. You can put this back in if you want to, but the reason I've cut the Chen Ying is because you do play another boss monster, which does the job just as well, if not more so. So, again, it's entirely up to you and your play style, but you have complete flexibility of what you want to do. Then, of course, you've got the 1 Denglong. It is back at 1. It is a tuner, so it is very important to remember that. And the one thing as well that you do need to remember as well is that Yang Zings, or some of the Yang Zings when they're destroyed by card effect, more so the main deck ones, they have to be controlled. So I did know a couple of players that used to play Yang Zing True King, which as amazing as it was, they were destroying Yang Zings in the hand, so they wouldn't trigger. So keep that in mind, because I do expect, like, I'm quite hyped to try this in my 6 Sam Yang Zing again. So yeah, 6 Sam True King, because that'd be really, really cool, because the 6 Sams get you into this. This then sends the reason it's got his band is that back in Dinos, you would make this, send a True King, make it a level 9, and then you just overlay into VFD, and it was just like, okay, cool, GG. Yazi, already kind of explained this one. You make Baron, you pop it, you make Mare, go from there. And obviously go in second, insanely powerful. Then of course you've got the 1 Berserker, double Yugioh, double Baxia. Now, Baxia is actually really, really cool in this deck now as well, because again, it's got, now that you're using more Yang Zing targets, it's actually a lot more easier to make and a lot more powerful as well, because you get to target a card you try level 4 or lower in your graveyard, destroy it, and go from there. And the best thing about that is even if you sync any of these, as long as you level manipulate or anything, no matter what you synchro into, if you use Bian, it just can't be destroyed by battle, which is insanely important. The only time you can only use Yang Zing monsters is during your opponent's turn. On top of that as well, if you did want to play the level 9 as well, that would then give you the ability to lock your opponent out of Earth effects, which is quite funny. So if you wanted to play Chao Feng, in the main, I'm not actually maining it right now, but if a format starts to take a bit more shape and I know exactly what attributes I want to stop, if it's a single attribute, then you can actually utilize and abuse Chao Feng quite a lot. And then for the 10s, of course, we do have the 1 Qingying, Chaos Angel, Baron, and then the Mac Daddy boss monster, which you probably don't need, but I just think it's quite funny that a Denglong can make this, is your Psychic M Punisher. I'll show you how Denglong makes this in the combo in a few seconds, but the idea is that if your life points are a lot lower than your opponent's, you can actually make this a lot easier with Denglong, and then you just go, okay, cool, Denglong effect, Psychic M Punisher effect, banish, boon, down by another 1,000, and hopefully this is going to be like a 1 card punch in the face, OTK your opponent. And a lot of people have troubles out in this. You kind of put them in a position where as long as your life points are lower than theirs, that they can't just crash into it and then manipulate their life points to then be able to break it. So really, really cool, powerful card. Again, if you don't have access to it, it's not the end of the world. Like I've shown you Chao Feng that you can use. You can also use the Chen Ying as well. So you've got loads of different options. And I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to show you the combo that involves Denglong and how it can adapt. So now for the combo. Now I'm only going to show you cards you guarantee search and you absolutely need, being Moyi, Adhara, and then any worm monster. So you've got plenty of those in the deck. You're also going to have 2 additional cards in the hand. I'm just going to use these as blank cards to display what else you have. You're going to start off by specialing down Adhara. Depending on what else you have, you can of course turn this into Monk and then continue to make your other plays. I'm showing you the base minimum. So you're going to normal summon the Moyi, you're going to use Moyi's effect, revealing a worm in the hand to spawn a token. This also does give you the ability, should your opponent negate the Moyi, to still conduct plays depending on how far you want to go. You're then going to sync your Moyi and of course your Adhara, and you're going to go into Denglong. You're then going to go chain it 1 Denglong, chain it 2 Moyi, so you're going to draw around a card. You're then going to search the 9 pillars of the Yang Zing. So at the very base minimum, you do have a very nice negate. You are not worm locked or anything else like that. So if you wanted to, you can send the Chi-Win from the deck to the graveyard. And then the idea behind that is when you use pillars during your opponent's turn, you then get rid of your Denglong, and that will then give you the ability to push that bit further. In this scenario, what we're going to do is we're actually going to send the Ashuna from the deck to the graveyard, making your Denglong a nice level 7, but also, because you control a non-effect monster, setting up your Ashuna play as well. So here you want to use the Ashuna, you're going to be banishing this, and you're going to spawn a level 4 from the deck, being your Shafana. You can, if you want to, activate the Adhara now to add back the Ashuna, but you might want to save that just in case you get any other Swordsoul or anything else banished. Now, keep in mind, this is a level 7, so you don't have a synchro play legal right now. You do need to adapt more levels, but you do have a very good synchro play right here. So using the token plus the Shafana is going to allow you to get into any level 8 worm, and you're going to want to go into your Yugioh. The reason you're going to want to do that is Yugioh is then going to trigger the effect, and you're going to search out your long one. And again, keep in mind, I'm only going to be using this to show you exactly what you've got. And because you had the worm at the start, I'm going to guarantee that you've got the access to the level 10. So then you're going to use Long One's effect. You're going to discard the worm you started off with. And this is going to allow you to spawn another token. Now, at this exact point, you could, or even previously, you could use the Adhara to allow you to add back the Ashuna. And then that would mean you'd have hold back the worm if this is something you want to keep hold of. In this scenario as well, again, keep in mind that you are unfortunately worm locked, but you are going to be able to sync Long One plus the token, and you're going to go into your level 10, which is why we still play the Long One. After the Long One, you're also going to burn your opponent for 1200. So you've basically replenished your entire hand, and what you have here is you've got the access to a level 10, which can banish and burn. You've got a negate of the Yugioh, plus you've still got the pillars. So you've got the ability to go set the pillars here, and then you've got basically a replacement for Blackout in a sense, and then you still have your full hand to go through, whether that be hand traps, whether that be more extenders. Maybe if you didn't need to search out the Long One because you already opened it, you could go for something like a Tire, you could go for a Monster Reborn. You have so many different plays to make. Now again, this is the Wormlock route. There are routes that you can utilize and play around with depending on what else you have in the hand, and I'll be more than happy to show you those in a test hand video just to kind of randomize it and show you everything else you need. But the idea off the back of this, let's just, for example, say we play to our opponent's turn, is you activate 9 pillars, you get rid of the Denglong. This is then going to allow you to spawn 1 from the deck. Now you can go for a Chiwin, just so you've got a tuner for the follow-up the next turn, keeping in mind that this can then become a level 11, which is your Psychic End Punisher, or this becomes a level 9, which can be your Chow Feng if you want to, locking your opponent out of light monster effects. Entirely up to you on how you want to play this one out, so kind of work it as you see fit and continue to test with all of the new adaptations thanks to the ban list. And all it took was 1 card coming back, and this is how the deck can evolve again. This is what I really like about Swordsoul, is because it is, in my opinion, it's a type deck. And what I mean by that is it revolves around Worm. It's not like a deck that revolves around an archetype in the sense that it has to be Swordsoul specific cards. It's the fact that it can be Worm cards, that even if we get old support coming back, if we get new support in the future, as long as it is Worm related, there's always that chance that it could fit within Swordsoul. Anyway, hope you found this informative and giving you an update on Swordsoul and how it currently stands. I definitely feel that this deck can compete, and I can't wait to see how it does going forward. Yes, I know it's not going to be the #1 top best deck, but it's still a deck that if you've been holding on to, if you've been having a huge amount of fun with, it's definitely something that can help you out and you will thoroughly enjoy going forward. I would honestly wait for Denglong a little bit. It has started to come down in price, which is great, because I think initially it was stupidly expensive. I think it dropped, or when the banish changed, it went up to 30 quid, but then over the course of the few days it started to drop down to more reasonable prices, in my opinion. So that's definitely something to keep your eyes out for and be looking forward to as well. I believe currently it's sitting at about £15 here in the UK, so whether it's going to get a reprint or not, it's definitely worth looking into if you've got a friend that's just got their ban list out or collects like banned cards and can hook you up. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.